Spencer, you little shit. What's up, everybody? Welcome to General Hospital Envy, my GH after show. Let's get into it. This week, Spencer throws a party at Windermere, and Nicholas saw that this would be the time to teach his son a lesson. So, to quickly summarize, Nicholas steals the boat launches from Windermere and hides them for a while. And then Spencer gets a call from someone who appears to be Ryan Chamberlain, when really it was just Nicholas doing a deep fake. And then when the power goes out briefly, the words, "It ends tonight," appears on the floor, scaring all the kids. I think my favorite part about this was Trina's reaction. She's just sitting there like, hell nah, I am not getting held hostage again. I'm calling the cops. But unfortunately, Nicholas cut the Wi-Fi off and cut the signals off so that none of the kids could make a phone call, so they just felt trapped. Spencer and Trina go upstairs to the turret room to try to fix the Wi-Fi signal, and when they take a break and go out into the parapet, they share a bit of a moment. Trina leaves for a moment, and that's when Nicholas comes out disguised in a mask and holding a fake knife and grabs Spencer. He pretends to stab Spencer, leaving Spencer traumatized even though it was a retractable knife. Father of the year much? Now, while all of this is happening, Ava is at GH talking to Kevin and Laura about the situation and how Nicholas is planning to get revenge on his son for being the stalker. There is a mysterious girl wearing scrubs listening in on their conversation. Kevin and Laura make their way to Windermere to try and stop Nicholas, but of course it's too late and Spencer fills him in on everything that happened. He swears it's Ryan Chamberlain, and that's when Nicholas comes in and reveals himself as the culprit, and of course Spencer is hella angry. And Nicholas says he's just trying to teach him a lesson and try to make him be the person that his mother would want him to be. Now meanwhile at the hospital, that crazy girl in scrubs sets fire to Ava's car and leaves Kiki Jerome's work ID right by it, which causes Ava to faint in shock. Naturally, Ava calls Nicholas and tells him what happened to her car, and of course everyone's like, Spencer obviously isn't the stalker because he's been here the entire time, and Spencer brings out the waterworks. I have to give props to the actor that plays him. He did a fantastic job with that scene. He was pulling at my heartstrings. I mean, he was crying and saying, "How dare you manipulate me by using my mother's memory," and he storms off. Trina goes with him to comfort him on the parapet, and they share like a really nice moment, and I'm like, oh, this is really gonna bring Sprina together. And then in walks the girl with the scrubs, except she's in a dress now. Not only are Spencer and her in cahoots, but she happens to be his girlfriend. And I'm like, are you serious, you dirty dog? I mean, honestly, I did believe that they were in cahoots together, but I didn't realize that she was his girlfriend. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I get major bad vibes from this chick, okay? Like, the way she calls him Spence, and the way that she seems to know everything about every one of Spencer's friends, and just the way that she eggs him on to continue to torture Ava and Nicholas, there is just something really off about her. I mean, she kind of looks like Nell a little bit, so maybe that's part of it, but for some reason, I'm pretty convinced that she is somehow connected to Ryan Chamberlain. I don't know if it's like a long-lost daughter of his or something, or maybe she's a mega fan of Ryan Chamberlain and is using Spencer to kind of torture Ava to impress Ryan. I don't know, but it's gotta be something like that. There's just something really off about that girl. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Either way, Nicholas and Spencer are just a disaster. Like, they are so psychotic for the things that they are doing to each other. I guess the trend of crazy Cassidines continues generation after generation, even though Nicholas seemed like the good Cassidine at one point. And Laura is not afraid to tell Nicholas that. Alright, moving on, we gotta talk about a character that made a return this week, Drew Kane in the flesh, only this time he looks a little bit like Cameron Matheson, because that's who's playing him. Alright, so here's how this happened. So Dante and Sam were on a date where they were trying to tell themselves that it wasn't a date the entire date, and they were at the Metro Court pool. Sam gets a call from an unknown number, but she doesn't answer it. Dante and Sam get closer, they kiss, and then Dante goes to get more drinks. That's when Sam gets another call. This time she answers it, and on the other line, it's Drew freaking Kane. He tells her it's Drew, and he says that he needs help, and there's a bit of a struggle on the phone, and then the line goes dead. Obviously, Sam is pretty shook up by it, and she tells Dante what happened. Basically, Sam spends the entire week trying to figure out whether it was Drew or if it was someone trying to pretend that they're Drew to manipulate her somehow. And by the end of it, when she has a conversation with Curtis, she seems more than convinced that it was actually Drew and that Drew is very much alive. Now, Drew, he's being held captive somewhere. I'm not really sure where. If I were to guess, I'd say maybe possibly Australia, and I'm only basing that off the fact that the guard that was fighting him was Australian. So other than that, I don't know for sure. But the guard keeps on alluding to the boss, and I think that the show wants us to kind of lean towards Peter. But honestly, I do actually think that Peter is dead, and we know that he definitely wanted Drew dead. He wouldn't be keeping him alive. My theory is that maybe Cyrus found Drew alive and was holding him as leverage against Peter should anything happen in the future. That's my best guess. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Now, my overall thoughts on Cameron Matheson playing the role, I don't know how I feel about it yet. It's still early days. Just based on the couple of scenes that I've seen him in, he's not a bad actor. He just doesn't seem like Drew Cain to me. I don't know why they didn't bring Billy Miller back into the role. I mean, I don't think he's in anything at the moment. I could be wrong about that. Let me know if I am. I think my main issue with Drew being back in any capacity is that the last time we saw Drew, the writers seemed to have zero interest whatsoever in fleshing out that character. I mean, towards the end, Billy Miller was literally booted off the show. You could tell that the writers didn't really know what to do with him. They were just happy that Steve Burton was back as Jason, and they were like, well, we have the real one back now, so let's just toss him out. All sorts of things could have been done with that character. He could have gotten his old memories back, and they could have fleshed out his character as a whole, and instead they kill him off screen and have Franco get Drew's memories for a brief time. It was so wild to me, it didn't make any sense whatsoever. So you'll have to forgive me if I don't think it's going to be much different this time around, because obviously he's probably still going to have just Jason's memories at this point. He doesn't have his own memories as Drew, so it would just be like having a second Jason again. You know what I mean? How do you guys feel about Drew being back? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, let's talk about Jasper Jax. Now, Jax, he is desperate to get Jocelyn out of Carly and Jason's mob shenanigans, and so he comes up with a plan to try and record her with his phone saying something incriminating. He puts it down by the ugly bowl of moss and just starts asking her questions and confronting her, but he lays it on a little too thick, and Carly catches on and grabs the phone, and she is just super angry, and she does her own rendition of Sonny's "You're dead to me" speech and, you know, kicks him out of there. Of course, Jason is there, and she tells him about what Jax just did, and Jason calls Spinelli to hack into Jax's phone and delete the recording, just in case Carly did say anything incriminating. Now, later on in the week, Carly and Jason have to set up a meeting with the five families because they're trying to get the Joey Novak situation under control. But of course, Carly can't make it because she had to go pick up Jocelyn from that party at Windermere. So Jason goes at it alone, and the five families are not impressed with him whatsoever. Jason realizes that all of the families believe that the Corinthos organization is up for grabs and that things are going to get ugly. So Jason has to basically cooperate and marry Carly to make it seem like they are weak, but they're desperate. You know what I mean? I guess Jason realizes that, you know, it's better to look vulnerable and then to lower the boom and surprise them by showing that they are in fact a strong front. So Jason and Carly decide that they're going to get married next month as quickly as they can. Will they actually get married? It's hard to say. I mean, we know that Sonny is out there somewhere, very much alive. Well, not somewhere. He's in Nixon Falls, still dealing with the fallout of Lenny's death. Nina is very hot and cold with Mike because he's having memory flashes of Carly, not showing her face, but memory flashes regardless. She's just a mess. Like, this is bad. And to make it worse, by the way, Maxie shows up to Nixon Falls. Of course, Sonny conveniently left the room just when she got there, like usual, but it's just, boy, I just want the truth to come out. I hope Maxie sees Sonny. By the way, welcome back, Kirsten Storms. Good to see you again. Alright, let's talk about Britt. Now, she's alone at the Savoy having a drink, and in walks all the nurses and Terry of GH, so Bobby is there, and Elizabeth is there, and Deanna and Amy are there, and even Epiphany is back as well, and they're all getting a table together, and Britt approaches them, and they just act like a bunch of mean girls in high school. It's so petty. It's so petty. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that Britt technically kind of deserves some of that backlash from them, but it's just like, it's sad because Britt is really trying here, and I think that she's been showing that she has changed by helping Jason take down Cyrus for no, and she gave Elizabeth's full-time job back like the second Cyrus was out of GH, so at least Elizabeth should see that she is trying. Terry basically pulls her to the side and says, I know that you've changed, but it's going to take some time for them to be convinced of that as well, and you know, that's fair. So Terry sends over Epiphany, and Britt just allows Epiphany to just lay it all down for her and just, you know, give her a verbal beating as much as she wants to. And Epiphany, she's like, well, I can't really enjoy this if you're gonna just, you know, take it. Jeez, Epiphany, so cruel. I am glad Epiphany's back though. Eventually, Epiphany goes back to her table and Britt decides to buy all of them a round of shots. The bartender brings the shots over to the table and the nurses don't even acknowledge her or say thank you, nothing. They just make fun of her more and do the shot and cheer, and poor Britt just like walks away, doesn't even look back at the table. I felt so bad for Britt, and honestly I feel like they are painting all these nurses in a poor light, considering that the nurses ball is supposed to happen in the fall in the next couple of months. This is not a great way to reintroduce all the nurses back onto the canvas. Like, I was excited that we were going to see all the nurses having a girls' night out, because y'all know every Wednesday I've been watching classic girls' night out episodes, and thank God for the classics, because this was just a mess. Now, like I said, I know that Britt kind of deserves some of the slack, but at the same time, I believe that they should acknowledge that Britt is in fact trying to change. And you know, I'm rooting for Britt. I've always been a really big fan of like the underdog, because growing up I kind of felt like one myself. You know, I was bullied in school and I didn't have many friends growing up, and even when I got older I was really kind of a pushover because I was always trying to impress people instead of, you know, just being myself. But you know, as I came into my own, I really started to stand up to bullies that were bullying, you know, people that were younger than they were for being weird, different things like that. And I'd always, you know, root for any of my friends that were putting their heart and soul into something and it was virtually getting ignored by everyone that they cared about, because I don't want my friends and the people I care about to feel the same way I did growing up. So, you know, I've always just kind of rooted for the underdog all the time. But enough about me, let's get back to GH. Sorry, got a little bit deep there. Go Britt. Alright, so there wasn't a whole lot else that happened on the show this week. One cute thing was that Brando and Sasha got to have a sonogram of their baby, and apparently Sasha is 38 weeks even though she got pregnant in April. But I'm okay with that because, you know, Maxi's year-long pregnancy was enough. We could definitely speedrun this. The only other thing is that Chase is still being petty towards Michael and Willow, and I love that he is not even being remotely subtle, and Willow is just not catching on at all. Like, she's like, it's like she can see that something is off, but it's like it's not occurring to her that maybe Chase is aware of the situation. And Chase gave Willow another chance to come clean, and she chose not to take it. So whatever Chase does at this point is on Willow and Michael. I firmly believe that. Her continuing to lie to him again has convinced Chase to actually work with Austin and look around the house for proof that Edward wanted Jimmy Lee Holt in that will. And sure enough, he finds those letters. Unfortunately, he decided to find them on his own two legs, and Brooklyn found the wheelchair, and when Chase went back for it, she was sitting in the wheelchair, and of course he is standing up, and she wants him to come clean about what's going on. I don't know what he's going to say to Brooklyn, because obviously she doesn't want Austin to have, you know, ELQ shares as well. But I kind of hope that he lets her know about Michael and Willow, and that she hopefully will come clean to him that she kind of knew, like, just so that they can hash that out. Because I really love their friendship and I don't want this to ruin their friendship, although I think that it might, at least for a while. But yeah, I'm excited for whatever happens in that front. Now, that is the end of GHMV. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Tune in this Wednesday for one last Girls Night Out classic watch. We're also going to watch a Boys Night Out video on that same show. I hope you guys are excited for it. Bring your tequila shots, everybody. I'm going to bring like a rum and coke, I think. We'll see. I'll let you know. But yeah, if you like this video, give it a big old thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to. And I will catch you guys this Wednesday. Peace out.